Hi, everyone. We're here with David, and David is my special guest. We've got an incredible story to tell you about David's journey. We're live at DevConf. It's magnificent. We've got banners, we've got cameras, we've got everything. But who am I? My name is Rory. I'm a principal cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I help developers and empower them to use Microsoft products to do more in their life. And I want to give you an opportunity to learn and get to know David. But first, I want David to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Rory. So yeah, I'm David, work at Investec. I've been at Investec for 7 years now. I actually started as a data scientist, and over the 7 years, I've found myself in engineering, particularly AI engineering now. And I've taken a pretty unconventional path getting here. So if I rewind like way back, actually, way before work, as a child, at like 9 years old, what got me at like to the keyboard was Microsoft Flight Simulator. Interestingly, 2002, I think that was like one of the first ones, and I was like obsessed. I had the whole setup, the rudder pedals, the flight yoke, and everything, and that led me like to spend hours there, and like it led to an interest in technology and a curiosity about how computers work, and like that really sparked my interest. And at a similar time, well, actually a bit earlier, I had a parallel interest, like call it obsession. I played classical piano, and that's been my absolute passion. I actually don't like the word passion. It's more of a compulsion, actually. Yeah. So I've had these two things that are very different but similar in nature, actually. And I started programming in Java at school. Speaking to the Java man himself. Yeah, started programming Java, and I found that coding was really satisfying and actually quite meditative. I really enjoyed it, and I finished school, and I was like, okay, I want to study music. I want to be a concert pianist. It's done. And my parents were like, maybe that's not the best idea. Make your money first, and then you can do what you want. And I was like, okay, sounds reasonable. So obviously, my second choice was computer science. And I started studying computer science. It was okay. Lots of C++, which was a bit of a headache at times. And 8 months in, I was like, no, this is not floating my boat. It's actually a bit dry for me. And then I thought, let me deregister from varsity, which, yeah, in retrospect, it was quite a brave decision, because like you don't know if you're going to get back into varsity, especially after you've just deregistered. And so I did, and I thought, let me just focus on the piano. I was actually taking lessons with a professor at the university in piano, and the following year I was like, okay, now it's time to get back on track. And I somehow, long story actually, got into statistics. I got into a statistics and economics degree, and I actually surprisingly found the world of stats to be quite a colorful one. The question of whether an event is going to happen or not is a pretty interesting one. And that kind of led me to data science. I specialized in data science 4 years later in my final year, and that led me to Investec in a job as a data scientist. And I was like, yeah, I'm a data guy. I'm a data scientist guy. No one's going to stop me. And yeah, like I did a whole bunch of stuff, in my first year, but I found myself pretty quickly, the engineering, the software engineering, like, really attracted me once again, like it did when I was back in high school. And I found myself in the property team at Investec, who were at the time doing a lot of work containerizing apps that were previously deployed to virtual machines and deploying them to Kubernetes. And there was like a ton of learning there. It was a great stepping stone into our cloud journey, which I really, really enjoyed. And I learned so much. It was actually like a pretty career-defining move, learning about like the basics of cloud computing. And around the same time, maybe we can chat about it a bit later, but Investec had made the decision to go with a single cloud provider, being Azure. You might know a bit about that thing. And yeah, so my Azure, knowledge became really deep, and I was like immersed in the engineering. I moved to the UK for a year, actually, did lots of work in Azure. And in the last year and a half, actually, you did a presentation with a talk with John Riley and Graham Lockley at the Microsoft Build AI Day around a year and a half ago. And Graham and John demoed Zebra GPT. Yeah, which I think that was it was 18 months ago, and it was a few months after ChatGPT became like a thing in public. Quite a few months after that, and Zebra GPT, our own internal AI tool that allows Investec staff to use LLMs safely and securely. Anyway, you know about that. Around the time that they were here, John obviously had come from the UK, and Ali, my other colleague, and I thought I had a chat with him briefly, and I was like, it'd be cool to bring RAG into Zebra GPT, retrieval augmented generation. So, like, we want Zebra GPT to be able to tell us about Investec specific stuff, right? Not just the information it's trained on. Thanks to our inner sourcing in Azure DevOps, I was like, let me make this contribution. And so I did. And that just that was the start for me in AI engineering. And that led to the development of a whole bunch of other AI apps, and then creating paved paths for other applications to come that needed AI plumbing. And yeah, as you said, I chair the AI Well Architected Guild at Investec, which is a great place, and I'd love to chat about that.
I love the fact that you found an avenue to be creative with music. So one of the things that is very popular nowadays is vibe coding, which I switch on jazz, I dim the lights, I have a Yankee candle in the back, and I just groove to the sounds of the universe. And I've got a talk today on DevConf on how to do that successfully. I also love the fact that you've started a grassroots initiative at Investec. And tell me a little bit more about how and what you do at Investec to empower others.
So in the AI Well Architected Guild at Investec, it was actually started by my colleague Ali Sommer, and I've taken over his role as chair. But so I'll answer that through the lens of AI engineering. The AI Well Architected Guild is this group of people who come together once a week for an hour, and it's completely informal. Everyone has an open invitation, and everyone arrives there, under no obligation. It's completely self-organized. It's not driven by leadership at all. It's everyone who's curious about AI, everyone who's interested in collaborating, people who want to express their curiosity, ask questions, learn about AI, and without going and finding people just arrive. It's like really amazing to see how many people just pitch. It's pretty cool. So Investec has a really strong culture of mentorship, and you see this play out in many places, but in the guilds especially. And in the AI Well Architected Guild, what you'll find is someone will come along with a use case and be like, I have this problem to solve. This is the tool I'm thinking of using, but I need a helping hand. Someone will put up their hand, whether they've had experience in solving a similar problem before or not, and they'll pair up with someone who does have more experience. And this just happens naturally. So that's a super powerful. It's a super powerful platform for people to engage in that kind of mentorship. And significantly, it's not people who are only who only work within the realm of AI, for example. There's no such thing. It's anyone who's interested. So you might be in the XYZ team, and you kind of want to get involved in this stuff, and the AI Guild's a great place to come. Hear what's going on, and then put your hand up, volunteer to do something. It's a really great platform. So from the perspective of learning, that's amazing. It's super empowering in that way. And the fact that we are driven by not AI for AI's sake or tech for tech's sake, it's AI and tech uh, for the purpose of solving human problems, which is a pretty like powerful driving force for us.
So I've spoken at that guild, and
Mm-hmm.
also Microsoft is invited there and is there the entire time.
Yeah.
And I remember I worked at Investec, and one of the things that I loved is that it's such a incredible energy that you do just by stepping into the Greyston offices. That being said, we did try to steal your swan once, the black swan in the front, though. So thank you, and the guild sounds incredible, and I love the fact that you call yourself an AI engineer, because I think we're at the point in history that people are starting to call themselves a prompt engineer, an AI engineer, and not sniggers or anything, but it's an actual thing. So with Investec and going down that route of creating that platform, how have you felt that you've grown as a person in your career and made yourself into a better person?
So one of the things that I love about Investec is that, obviously in your day-to-day job, there are implied responsibilities, right? And how I've paved my way to where I am now, the way I've done that is by just taking on like other responsibilities. So AI wasn't a thing up until like fairly recently, and how I got involved and how I got to chair the AI Guild and like contribute to these great projects is just by doing it. Like just because I was curious, like my curiosity led me to this. And at Investec, like you can allow your curiosity to lead you somewhere. That's a really powerful thing, because I've been pretty like lost and confused, to be honest, for throughout school and throughout varsity. Like you kind of just go with it and you're like, well, hopefully I land somewhere that's bearable. But and even starting work, like, I don't know, I thought I wanted to be a data scientist. And then OpenAI came along and they were like, well, here's just this thing that's like really amazing. So yeah, taking on like extra responsibilities according to my curiosities, like just following that, taking on those things, working with people, building the relationships throughout the bank. That was really powerful in shaping like who I am today, especially career-wise. And yeah, like there is that I'll say culture again. I know I'm using the word culture a lot, of building relationships throughout, and that benefits you personally and the organization.
David, you also mentioned earlier that you were using AI for your job. And I know that, we've got endless amount of people using different AI models to make the best version of themselves. Tell me a little bit about the tools that you use in your everyday that leverage AI.
So what's top of mind for me right now is GitHub Copilot. It's one of the few tools that our engineers have right now. And it's super powerful. Like I'm still amazed at it. Like especially since February this year with agent mode, like it's literally it's amazing. It really is. It's such a game changer. But at Investec, we have a certain software delivery culture. And GitHub Copilot out of the box, whatever model you use, doesn't have that. It hasn't adopted that culture, right? So what I'm super excited about is I'm leading a crew to bring Investec context to GitHub Copilot. And the extension we're creating is called Zebra Pilot, affectionately known as Zebra Pilot. I'm super excited about this because Investec's been on a fairly long journey now. It started around 4 or 5 years ago of simplification in engineering, where at the time of the decision, it was decided that we needed to lower the cognitive load on engineers, right? And we did this by reducing the number of tools that engineers use. So, for example, as I said earlier, single cloud provider, Azure, single source control provider, Azure DevOps, standardizing on languages, so C# for backends, TypeScript for front ends, with React and Angular frameworks. So by doing that, we created a unified, more focused set of skills amongst engineers. And that means that engineers are able to work across projects more easily, right? But also at the same time, we could build a knowledge base that is quite focused and concentrated on these specific tools, right? So that's great. Like, we have all this knowledge and how-tos and FAQs and guides and whatever. And now we have AI, and bringing Investec context to GitHub Copilot is great because we can use that knowledge base. So Zebra pilots can help GitHub Copilot adopt our strong software delivery culture. And I think it's super powerful, and we're already seeing amazing results. Actually, John Riley, who you presented with, created a CLI tool at Investec called Avalanche. And Avalanche basically brings all of our paved paths together and steers the engineer down a very opinionated path, right? And what I really want to show you, like in person on a laptop, sometime soon, is like how Avalanche and GitHub Copilot interact. So we did a demo the other day. Like, an engineer arrives at Investec on day one, and they're like, I want to create this app. I don't necessarily know that Avalanche exists, but this is what I want to do, right? In natural language. And it's really cool, thanks to the amazing documentation inside Avalanche, of course. You see it saying, okay, David, I think you should use Avalanche. This is how you scaffold an Avalanche app. So you say, like, it suggests, NPX scaffold Avalanche app. This is the name of the templates. And like, as the engineer, you don't need to know about it. You can literally hit run, and it runs the command for you and scaffolds the app. And I think that's really cool.
Can you get it to play jazz? Okay, so I'm just putting it out there because my go-to vibing is jazz, and then you and then also in the back though have like a zebra Yankee candle. Okay, so you want the smells, you want the sounds, you want the dimmer lights and everything. But that's magnificent, and it really is the sign of the time where developers can find joy. They really can find joy, because instead of me having to code boilerplate getters and setters, I can just say, hey, I want to make music. I want to pull it down, pull it through, and I just want like Minority Report. I want to just move where I feel the vibe is going to. So I also know that you have a call to action for our audience, that you've got somewhere that they can go to find out more.
Yeah.
And to learn more about this story and this journey.
Yeah. So in short, the place to go is investec.com/tech. And a little bit of backstory. As I described to you in this podcast, like I've never fitted like a particular mold before I started, even now. Like I know one thing, and I love how Investec like saw that and appreciated it, and saw that I could bring something to the table because of that. And there are definitely people out there like that. And for everyone listening and everyone watching, please go to investec.com/tech to learn more.
I want to thank you for your time, David.
Thank you, Rory.
Thanks
for having me.
Thank you for creating an insight into your journey, into an insight into how you vibe. And I want to vibe with you in the future. So thank you. I want to say to our audience, thank you, and we'll see you at investec.com/tech.
Thanks, Rory.